Get your education. It's the one thing they can't take from you. Zach Hubert, a former slave. After the Civil War, African American education began to thrive. They started in church basements, old schoolhouses, and homes, said Mary Beth, a historian at the University of Pennsylvania. But what is an HBCU? An HBCU is a historically black college or university. These institutions usually have student bodies made up of predominantly black students with a smaller population of other races. In 1963, Clemens University in South Carolina was finally integrated, making it the first PWI, predominantly white institution, to accept black students. HBCUs were created as a way for black people to have a chance at higher education. There are now over 100 thriving HBCUs in the U.S., producing some of the most qualified professionals in all fields and all races. The HBCU versus PWI experience. There are many debates on the topic of attending an HBCU or being black and attending a PWI.
I love going to HBCU because everybody is almost my color, my complexion, my hair texture.
I love going to my HBCU because I just get that family experience and I love it. Like, why would I not?
I established an amazing friendship circle. There are so many organizations, so many opportunities to meet people and to foster relationships, and I just met some of the best people in the world.
Hi, my name is April Beckham, a recent graduate from Savannah State University, majored in mass communications. And I would say choosing an HBCU was not only a life decision, but the experience that I gained from it was mind-blowing. From the people that I met there, from professors, from relationships, to everyone looking like you and just rooting for you to succeed, just encouraging you, everyone helping each other out to get to that main goal. So I would say anybody that is looking for a HBCU, compared to a PWI, like at a PWI, you're just a number. No one really knows your name, no one really knows who you are, but at an HBCU, professors, people walking around campus, greeting you on a first name basis, hey, how are you? So I would definitely say that made my experience, worthwhile, because everyone that looks like you is rooting for you to succeed.
My experience at a PWI actually wasn't bad. I attended Eastern Illinois University for all 4 years of my undergrad. I was a history major and pre-law minor. I liked that I was able to interact with my professors whenever I needed to, and that they were always open. The classroom was not overpacked with people, and it was small numbers of students in there, so we were able to interact with our teachers even in class when we needed to. The only disadvantage was probably that outside of campus, the blacks and the whites were separated. So like at parties, they had their selective few that they would invite, and that it was just, we were just separate off campus, and sometimes even on campus. But I personally never experienced racism.
The history and the legacy of HBCUs. They were started to assist African Americans who were transitioning following the period of the Civil War and Jim Crow practices. The Freedmen's Bureau got together and they had designated lands that were intended for the upliftment of individuals, specifically African Americans, who had been persecuted and subjugated for 400 years. So the entire presence, the entire facilities, they're intended, everything from the ground that we walk on to the structures that were initially constructed were intended for the students' betterment. Here at Savannah State University, it was originally Plantation to Plantation. Savannah State University is my second HBCU experience. Like a lot of African Americans, my family migrated up to Detroit, Michigan, and I was born and raised in the North, and I went to predominantly white institutions all of my life, parochial schools in fact, and my awareness of what it was to be African American was taught from a distance. I had my family telling me who I was and giving me books to read and exposing me to cultural activities, children's museum, history museums, African American church, Christian, Colored Methodist Episcopal Church, but no direct 24-hour deliberate experience that was intended for our upliftment. And then I went to Florida A&M University for one summer for 2 weeks, and everybody I saw was African American. From the moment you step onto the campus, you feel the atmosphere of people who are deliberate and intentful in your upliftment and enriching the culture. For me, it's about giving back, most specifically about giving back, because my ancestors, my elders, my family, they made numerous sacrifices for me not to have to endure or experiences the subjugation and persecution of bigotry and racism, and they did it so that I would have opportunities that were denied to other African Americans. And so I take great pride in working at a HBCU, working at Savannah State, taking the knowledge and skills and experiences that my family have afforded me and being able to give it back to another generation of students so that they can uplift their families and they can advance their goals and objectives in life. There's nothing like it. You must forgive me. My face is leaking. The differences in my experiences between an HBCU compared to a predominantly white institution, there is no comparison.